Final Fantasy XIV is a massive game with thousands of hours of content. What I'm going to do is give you a breakdown of some of the many stories for those of you who want to know more about Eorzea but may not have the time to explore it all firsthand. Today we're going to start with the monk. Monks are chakra-wielding fist fighters who train their bodies to be weapons even when unarmed. You unlock the job by reaching level 30 with the Pugilist class in the city of Ul'dah and completing the quest, The Return of the Holy Fist. The story starts when a call goes out to the Pugilist Guild for a bodyguard, and with you, the Warrior Light, being one of the premier members of the guild, you get the contract to guard Professor Eric. The professor is a genius scholar who spends a lot of gil hiring bodyguards while he studies various sites for random projects. His current project has him going to old battlefields that are full of monsters. He claims monsters keep people from tampering with the site, and considering how he owes a lot of people a lot of money, it's in the best interest of the guild to keep him alive. A monk from Alamigo had been assigned to the job as well, but the guy didn't show up, so naturally the entire assignment falls on your shoulders. When you meet the professor, you realize that he's a bit of an arrogant prick who likes to ramble on and on about how he's the smartest guy in the room. Problem is, he kinda is. And not wanting to be in your presence much longer than necessary, the two of you immediately head out to Sildee. At the site, he has you place a device called an ethometer, designed to study the ether of the land. And of course, monsters attack the moment you turn the thing on, so your skills are put to the test. After the fighting is done, Wiedergelt, the monk who had skipped out on the job, comes flying in to join the fray. His arrival causes your chakra points to open, something that should have been impossible without very specific training. Wiedergelt formally introduces himself as a member of the Fist of Rhalgr before he gives you a quick rundown about monks and chakra. It exists in everything and everyone, but only those who have extensive training can use it. Before he met you, he had never seen anyone gain access to their chakra so easily. Naturally, he invites you to join the monk order and grow your control of your newfound abilities by visiting the sites of great battles and drawing on their energy. Pretty much the same job that you've been hired by Eric to do, so you get to kill two birds with one stone. While you talk, the professor starts to leave without you or the device, which was the whole reason for the expedition in the first place. Wiedergelt escorts him back to Ul'dah so he doesn't die while you retrieve the device for him. He insults you again before dismissing you so he can study his findings, but he warns you to train your body because the next site will be even more dangerous. For the next assignment, the professor sends you and Wiedergelt off to two different sites. That doesn't mean he trusts you to gather good readings. In fact, he makes it clear that he thinks you're stupid. But his device can gather information without you doing too much, so he sends you off to the Bloodshore to set his ethometer. As expected, placing the device draws monsters, but fighting in the ether-rich land further opens your chakra. The ethometer is a bit damaged in the fighting, but the professor doesn't care. He sends you away so he can analyze the data because your mere presence makes him dumber. After studying the data, Eric begins to think that maybe the sites weren't ether-rich because of the battles, but were chosen for battles because they were already ether-rich. To test the theory, he sent Wiedergelt to take measurements at the Fire Sand Banks on the border between Alamigo and Gridania. Unlike your device, Wiedergelt's can't simply transmit the data over long distances, so Eric sends you to get it from him before you head to your site in South Shroud. Wiedergelt has not completed his task when you arrive. He says that the readings are slow gathering, so he offers to bring the device to you at your site when he's done, although he's surprised that your destination never hosted a great battle. Battle or not, monsters still show up when you begin to gather the ether, and the beating you give them helps open more of your chakra. Wiedergelt arrives in time to see your battle, but admits that he tried to beat you there so he could draw the power of the land into himself before you drained it all. He explains that once the ether of a land bolsters amongst chakra, the land's energy gets unstable, and no one else can draw on it until it calms down. Truthfully, he hadn't gathered any readings for Eric because he had been summoned for a meeting of the monkhood, but to avoid angering the professor, he simply plans to take a reading from your site. He doubts the professor will notice if you don't tell him. And to gain your trust, Wiedergelt tells you who he really is. He is a part of the Alamigan resistance and is seeking power to remove Garlemald's hold from his land. When Garlemald invaded, he escaped and began a quest to find allies and weapons to bolster the resistance. Sadly, people willing to fight for Alamigo are scarce, so the only hope for saving his homeland lies in the power of chakra. Sympathizing with his cause, you don't tell the professor about his deception, and you bring both thermometers to him only to be greeted by more insults before he dismisses you. Eric proves to be as smart as he claims, and the next time the two of you meet, he chastises you for using both thermometers in the same spot. Left with no alternative, you tell Eric about Wiedergelt's attempts to open his chakra further, something he still dismisses as religious mumbo-jumbo despite, seeing you glow and stuff. Regardless, he is adamant that chakra is nothing more than ether and no amount of training can amplify it. He does admit that you and Wiedergelt have gained conscious control over ether, but only because your bodies resonated on the same ether frequency as the battlefield's ether, not because of some chakra mumbo-jumbo. That thought leads him to a theory that the coveted 7th chakra of the monk belief system comes from a place with an unbelievable amount of ether. Because your scheme led him to a new theory, he gives you another thermometer to take to Larksall in Eastroud. This time he made sure you and Wiedergelt won't be crossing paths. Things go as usual at the site, and the battle that follows, placing the thermometer, triggers another boost in your chakra. Eric actually praises you when you return, calling you a model pupil, unlike Wiedergelt, who sends a message for you to meet him in Little Alamigo for some reason. Eric warns you that Wiedergelt's blind desire for revenge makes him extremely dangerous, and you should be careful around him. Before you head out, Eric reveals that he's also from Alamigo and would love nothing more than to see his homeland freed from Garlemald, but what Wiedergelt is doing is not the way to go about saving his people. Wiedergelt knows that you told Eric who he was, but he's not mad. He believes he is close to unlocking the 7th chakra, then the resistance will be able to rise. He wants you to join them because your strength will be a great aid in the battles to come. As a gift, he offers you the battle garb of the Fist of Rauger, armor designed to aid in the wielding of chakra. But he will only tell you how to acquire the armor if you agree to join the resistance, so you do. Now that he knows that you're on his side, he tells you that a set of the armor was stolen by bandits and the thieves have been tracked to areas around Thanelin. Your crystal will let you know when you are close. Naturally, you hunt them down. With 4 of the 5 pieces in hand, Wiedergelt tells you that the 5th will be yours once Alamigo is free. In the meantime, Eric has completed his research and is writing his paper, which Wiedergelt believes will lead him to the power he seeks. Eric is excited to say that his theory's announcement in front of a council of his peers was well received. Surprisingly, he hasn't seen Wiedergelt since the presentation. In a fit of panic, he realizes that he had discovered the method of activating the final chakra and where it could be done. He believes Wiedergelt has gone to Silvertear Falls to awaken the chakra, but he doesn't understand that using that power to fight Garlemald will make things worse. He begs you to go and stop him, but you arrive too late. Wiedergelt's chakra begins to open when you arrive, but it's not complete. It will only open in a battle to the death against a strong opponent. You. Somehow he thinks you should find comfort in the fact that you'll be dying to help him get the power to save his homeland. As the two of you fight, the ether of the land leaves Wiedergelt and merges with you, opening your 7th chakra instead of his and allowing you to overpower him just as the professor makes it to the battlefield. He politely slaps Wiedergelt in the face for being an idiot. He explains that the energy of the world is not meant for destruction, and his desire to channel the ether for nothing more than to destroy Garlemald caused him to become as violent and savage as his enemies without him even noticing. His words hit home and caused Wiedergelt to think back to when a man asked, "Why do you fight?" When he said revenge, the man told him that was an easy and dangerous reason. It can make you justify horrible behavior for the sake of your cause, and he realizes that he was doing just that. He was willing to kill his friend in search of power, and had you been a lesser warrior, he would have succeeded. With that in mind, he realizes that he doesn't deserve the power. Not yet. With that said, he removes his own armor and hands it over to you before heading off to discover a new path for himself and for the Monk Brotherhood. This concludes the first part of the Monk story in Final Fantasy XIV. If you enjoyed part 1, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you won't miss out on part 2.